Morning, everybody. Welcome to our Monday press conference. Before we get started, a reminder that this recording and all of our past press availabilities with coaches and student athletes are available on our virtual press box. We'll begin with an opening statement from the head coach, Pat Fitzgerald, and then open it up for questions. If you would like to ask a question, please send a private message in the chat to Athletic Communications. Coach?
Thanks, Paul. Thanks, everybody, for being here this morning. I'll start with our players of the game from last week. Kyrick McGowan was our offensive big playmaker, a lot of explosive plays. Obviously, a pretty cool little zombie celebration, too, that I made light of yesterday in the team meeting. Defensively was Jake Saunders. I thought Jake played, and our defensive staff thought Jake played one of his better games, if not his best game of his career. Special teams was Derek Adams. We had a very uncharacteristic high snap on the last snap, and the way that Derek adjusted with poise and did a great job. He got that punt off in less than right about a second. We got some protection issues there too, but that's for us to get cleaned up. Big playmaker on offense was Jesse Brown. We thought Jesse gave us a spark, was tough, was physical like he always is. And then our two big playmakers on defense were Brandon Joseph and Gallagher. So those guys made huge plays. And then obviously Brandon being named, I think, co-freshman of the week in the Big Ten is something I think not only speaks to where he's at now, but hopefully an indication where he's going in the future. Practice players for us: Grayson Metz on defense, Ben Rather on offense, and Grayson Metz in special teams, Ben Rather on offense, and PJ Spencer on defense. Those guys gave a great look last week and did a terrific job. It's with a heavy heart that obviously I'm addressing you today. We lost a giant in a Northwestern football family, and Bill Jarvis. Mr. J made such a huge impact on so many of us as student athletes, staff members, and impacted so many of those great fans and folks in the Northwestern community. I was texting with him on Friday and Saturday before the game. I always looked forward to his messages, and it's just surreal that we've lost him. But we want to lift up our thoughts and prayers to his entire family and to the entire Wildcat family in a challenging time when we lose someone that we all love and revere. So, Mr. J is looking down on us, and we love him, and we're just so thankful for his impact on all of our lives. So it's with a heavy heart that I address you today. Looking to this week, obviously a little bit of a change in schedule for us. We typically have Sundays off. We got back pretty late on Saturday night. And we went right away to work. Busy couple days yesterday and this morning for our GAs and QCs, and really proud of the job that they did getting everything ready. We ended up putting the Iowa game to bed last night and taking our Monday and putting it on Sunday night. So we had a workout last night and took our Tuesday practice to today. So we literally just got off the field with respect to Election Day tomorrow, and we fully support our guys getting the opportunity to go out and vote who haven't. And as a staff, we talked about getting out first thing in the morning. I'm going at 6 a.m. and we'll obviously fulfill our civic opportunities and participate in Election Day tomorrow. But excited about the start, but a big challenge in front of us with Nebraska. Very explosive on offense, running a really awesome 2-quarterback system. They play with tempo. They attack you schematically with formations and shifts and motions, and then they do a great job from a talent standpoint. They're incredibly talented. I was really impressed with their offensive line. I know maybe wasn't indicative maybe in the score, but I thought they were really physical in the game against Ohio State. And then they get a week off to prepare for us, and you look at the improvement on their defense. Again, I know there's some anomalies with the score, but that game kind of changed a little bit right at the end of the first half, where they were right there, had every opportunity to maybe even go in at the half with the lead, and some, again, like we said about Iowa, some uncharacteristic self-inflicted wounds. And we knew Iowa was going to play a lot better, and they obviously did. And we know Nebraska will play outstanding on Saturday. It's a very well-coached team. I've known Scott for a long time and have great respect for Coach Frost and his staff. And you can see their talent now that they've recruited. It's as good as anybody will play all year. So we're going to have our hands full Saturday morning. But first and foremost, we've got to get rested up. I mean, it was a sprint to get to right now for our entire program, and we've got to get rested up and recover here over the next 36 hours to get ready for Wednesday's practice. So with that, I'll open it up to any and all questions. Thanks.
Reminder to direct message Athletic Communications. If you have a question, we'll call on you. We'll start with Noah.
Hey, Coach. Just wondering if you have any update on the status of Riley Lease, who left early on Saturday, and then Greg Newsome, who was dressed but didn't participate on Saturday.
Yeah, no, we'll release our active list on Saturday. But thanks for asking.
Eric.
Hey, Coach. One of the things that you talked about a lot last year that the team struggled with was getting momentum on your side, as well as getting takeaways. And after the game on Saturday, both Chris Bergen and Brandon Joseph talked about how both those things are a mindset for this team. I'm just curious, how did you approach developing that mental side of the guys during the offseason into this year?
Well, Eric, I think first of all, the credit goes to our players. Last year it was a really sour taste in our mouth, and we all owned it. And we looked at ourselves individually, and then we looked at ourselves collectively, and talked about not having it, be the same thing ever again. And the credit goes especially to our older players. I think that they came into the offseason and attacked it and wanted to work to restore the pride that a lot of these guys have and they've earned. And that's what it takes. You got to go out and earn it in the arena. And they came ready to go when we got into spring ball. And then obviously, the pandemic hit. So there's been a lot of stuff that's happened, and I think we've responded to it. And I take very little credit. I think as a leader, you try to be very consistent with your messaging. You talk consistently about what it takes to be a Wildcat and how we do things. And it's one thing to talk about. It's another thing to go out and do it. And the credit goes to our players. And then obviously our staff. I mean, they're the ones that position by position, unit by unit are in charge of their rooms. And I think the guys have really worked hard to come together. We're far from where we need to be. We're far from the finished product. But even more so in our relationships, we've worked really hard to build better relationships. We've looked really hard at that as coaches on how we can be better communicators, better listeners, be more empathetic, be better relationship builders, so we can have better trust. And if we can have better trust, then we can all improve. It's not only on the field, but it's also in our personal relationships. So that's kind of been our mindset in the off season as a staff. And, I think it's been some of the glue that's kept us together.
Hello.
Was that me? I think. Yeah.
Yes.
Hi, Coach. I was just curious. You mentioned that as a program, you guys have been encouraging your players to get out and vote and really be civically engaged this year. What kind of ways have you done that? And I don't know, as opposed to like previous elections, do you think your team is like really engaged and picking up on that this year?
Yeah, well, I think everybody across the country is really engaged, right? I mean, I think it's always important that we do this, from a standpoint of, being actively involved in making our country better and making our locations better and really trying to do things that we can do from an opportunity standpoint to make everybody's lives better. And so what have we done? We've done a lot. The Big Ten's done a lot of initiatives. Our athletic department's done a lot of initiatives. We've worked hard from a education standpoint about not only how to register to vote, how to do absentee and mail-in voting, and then strongly encourage our guys to get out tomorrow and be a part of, the civic opportunity that we all have. And, I'm proud of our guys. We've got a lot of guys engaged. I know that Bryce Jackson's on some committees with the Big Ten. I'm really proud of him. Same thing with Coach Lou and Coach Springer, Coach Long, from some engagement opportunities with the Big Ten. So really, really proud of those guys. And the entire group has done a really good job, I think, of just listening to each other, learning from each other, being empathetic, and then, respecting each other and being brothers. And then, with Darby and our athletic trainers, some of our sisters being brothers and sisters together to learn from each other. So it's been great. I think we've all grown.
Leah.
Good morning, Coach. Now having watched a couple other programs around the Big Ten kind of struggle with containing outbreaks in the virus, what has just been the general attitude around your program and what message are you sending to your players?
Yeah, good morning, Leah. It's been, one day at a time, one social interaction at a time. You got to keep and do everything you can, we're, like I've said since day one, wearing these, washing these, and staying socially distant. And it's on all of us. It's from our equipment staff, our athletic training staff, our strength staff, our support staff, our coaching staff, our players, our families, the significant others in our lives. I mean, everybody's got a role in this. That we've got to work really hard to make sure we're just making the best choices we possibly can. At the start of the year, I talked to our guys about kind of tightening up their social circle. Stay consistent with who you're around, know who you're around, know what they're doing. But ultimately, it comes down to a day by day, choice by choice. And like I said, I think it was either last week or the week before. I mean, it's Stace and I and the boys usually go out for a date on Thursdays. We've had home date nights, so it's just a new normal, and we're embracing it and not running from it.
Dave Bennett.
Good morning.
Morning, Mr. Cat, how's the view today?
It's great. Looks great out there. Beautiful day. Is this a little different than facing a team coming off a bye because they've only played one game and you don't have the volume of tape, the body of work that you normally have for an opponent?
Yeah, Dave, I think it's a big advantage for Nebraska. They had a week off to rest up. They obviously had a chance to watch us play. We were in a 4-quarter war, in a really physical game. And so you could just see the whole program here. We got to get recovered. That's the whole staff too, not only our players. So yeah, I think it's a huge advantage for them. I know they would much rather have played last week. I don't think that's hidden in any way, shape, or form. But it's a fluid situation for all of us, and we've got to worry about our recovery, and we've got to get ourselves rested up before, again, late night Saturday, quick turnaround, with an 11 o'clock game on Saturday.
Paul Banks.
Good morning. My question is kind of similar along the lines of scheduling, and kind of with Nebraska, they had a game, got canceled. They thought they had another game lined up. Obviously, it didn't happen. Now they're turning on to prepare for you guys. Have you ever had anything similar to that in your career with that kind of schedule and flux? And if so, if anything weird like that happened, what was the adjustment and preparation like for that?
Yeah, Paul, good morning. The last, I mean, again, this is a tragedy. The last time I remember a kind of disjointed schedule like that was 9/11. We're getting ready to go out to practice, and obviously everything changed in a moment's notice. So two very different times, but at the same time, you have, influences outside of your program that impact, your day-to-day routine. So, again, I think this is a fluid situation for all of us in college athletic, all of us in the country, let alone college football. So, again, I'm really proud of our guys. They've made great choices. Again, it's a moment by moment, day by day challenge, but just really proud of the decisions and the choices that they've made to this point.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
Ben Chasen.
Hey, Coach, you talked a little bit about how you have, Coach Frost and then have a lot of respect for him. He's entering his third year at Nebraska. Are there any particular areas of growth you expect to see from the Cornhuskers on Saturday that you haven't seen in years past? And was there anything you saw in that game with Ohio State? Obviously, they didn't have any other games and no other film from this year to prepare with. But anything from that game that you expect to see that might be a little different than what you've seen in years past?
Yeah, Ben, great. Year 3, it's very different, right? Year 1, you're just getting to know everybody. Year 2, everybody kind of knows what to expect, and then you start to really get your systems honed in and knowing your personnel. And then year 3, you got 3 classes in the building, and they've done a great job in recruiting. They're very, very talented. They brought in some new pieces also that are very talented. We have a small sample size of this year's team of them. So that's why I said earlier, the advantages for them. They've got a big advantage there. But, we've got to play a lot cleaner. We've got to take care of the football better. We've got to start faster. There's a lot of room for improvement for us. And that's been our focus here early in the week. And now our focus turns to recovery as we go over these next, 36 hours or so before Wednesday's practice. I like your Mike Kafka hat, though.
Eli Carp.
Hey, Coach. The offense at the goal line has been fairly efficient through the first 2 weeks, and Joe Spivak has been in there as an extra blocker a few times. What went into the decision to put him back there, and what have you seen from him on those plays?
Yeah, we were just kind of talking about what fullbacks we want to have, and I think Jake and Kurt said Spivak, and we got other guys that we're training also, but so and then Joe, anybody on this call that knows Joe or has interacted with Joe, and we said, hey, would you be willing to be, maybe a short yardage guy and a package guy, maybe on the goal line? Would you be interested in it? And he's, hell yeah, brother. Yeah, let's go. He's all jacked up. Let's go. So, yeah, that's Spiv, man. He's the best. And I thought he played really well Saturday at D tackle, I thought he was just, just relentless. And, he and Jake, I thought, did a great job. And we're going to need him to do it again against a very athletic, explosive, dynamic offense in Nebraska.
Peter Warren.
Hey, Coach. Sorry for your loss with Bill Jarvis. What's a story that you think exemplifies what he means to the program?
Peter, the over at Ryan Field, obviously the athletic department retired Mr. J with the name in the equipment room there after him, and that was a special moment. He just, I don't know how to put into words. Just a guy that was selfless, would do anything for any of our players, our staff. When you came back as a former player, be it, prior, when Walk was the head coach and there were new coaches, but everybody knew Jarv, right? When Gary was the head coach, guys would come back, everybody knew Mr. J, and so on and so forth. And back when he started, he was the, kind of that last generation of the equipment manager, being the equipment manager for the entire athletic department, not just, sports specific, kind of how it's evolved to today, where you have someone in a leadership associate AD role, and then you've got those that kind of are active and running it day to day. So it was a different model. He was a one-man show, and then Curtis Shaner and he, obviously ran it together for football. And I think if you were to talk to anybody about Mr. J, they'd all just talk about how much they loved him, how thankful they are for him to have touched each and every one of our lives. And we're going to really miss him. His sense of humor, his smile, his demeanor, just everything about him was the best. And I love him dearly. I'm going to really miss him. I mean, we to say that he and I interacted either texting or talking weekly would be an understatement. It was very frequent, and someone just I love dearly, and I'm really going to miss. But he'll always have a place in my heart, and he's probably up there talking to my mom right now, cracking jokes about me. So just love him dearly, and I'm Irish and Catholic by faith, so it's until we meet again. But I just love him dearly.
Noah.
Coach, you're facing a team in Nebraska who's going to be missing two of their starting secondary members in the first half due to the targeting penalty carryover from Ohio State. When you're scripting plays, when you're setting up scheme, does that affect things at all, given that that they're going to be down a couple guys in the first half, or are you just taking what they're going to give you?
No, I love when you ask me questions that I'm not going to answer, buddy. It's not because of you or that sweet new beard you have. It looks awesome, by the way. I don't talk about two things. You asked me both, man. You asked me about scheme and injuries. So, listen, it's a tough deal. You watch those plays, or bang, bang. Those guys are trying to make a play. As a former defensive player, man, it is really hard to play defense right now. I mean, really hard. And I totally agree with the targeting penalty. I totally agree with getting any hits above the head out of the game. It would have helped me in a couple of games when I was on special teams and got rocked. But listen, we got to get better. We're focused on ourselves. Everybody saw our start. We can't start that way in Big Ten play and expect to be consistently successful. And so we'll focus on what we got to do, and that's fundamentals first, and then execution of play second.
Noah, do you have a follow-up?
Yeah, just real quick, Coach, and not asking too much about any scheme particulars. I was just wanting to know if that influenced the way you go into the game more than anything else. With knowing that they're missing two guys, or whether you just keep everything the same and don't even pay attention to that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, you take all information in. There's no question about that, right? I mean, you just and then you go out in pregame warm up and you see who's playing what and what's playing who. And then sometimes you hide guys and you put guys in different jerseys. And I'm not going to tell you about something I did one game to try to hide a guy that was injured. I had a little fun with something in a bowl game, but that's kind of a little bit of the gamesmanship within the game that sometimes happens. But those guys will be back in the second half. They'll be fresh, and I'm sure they'll be fired up, ready to play.
Drew Shot.
Hey, Coach, you spoke about this a little bit earlier, but there's no question that the last three matchups between Northwestern and Nebraska have been close. I mean, the last three have been one-score games. Two of them have been to overtime. Are you anticipating a similar situation on Saturday? And also, based on the last 3 years, how are you kind of preparing your team for kind of a close game situation toward the end?
Well, we just were in one, right? It's a new team with a lot of young players that we're playing. So, we just were in a close game. So hopefully the result from Saturday and the experience helps the guys grow and become more comfortable in a close game. Sure. Why not expect a close game, right? It's all about the fans on TV. So let's make it close to keep everybody watching all the way through the BTN experience. Sure. I don't know. The game will play out the way it does, and we'll be ready to adjust with poise and find a way to finish the win.
Anything else for Coach? Thanks, Coach.
All right. Appreciate everybody. Have a great week. Again, my thoughts and prayers are with the Jarvis family, and appreciate the few questions about it. Love you, Mr. J. Appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Go Cats. Have a great week.
We have Patty Fisher and Jake Saunders here representing the defense. Please message Athletic Communications in the chat in order to ask a question. And we will start with Noah.
Hey, this is for both, but especially for Jake. Seemed like you guys were on a bit of a more limited defensive line rotation than usual, with Jason Gold and Trevor Kent being out. Especially you and Joe Spivak, seemed like you guys put a lot of snaps. How was that actually the case, and how was that sort of enhanced workload?
Yeah, it was tough, but I think we were well prepared from practice throughout the week. Obviously, we'd love to have Jason and Trevor back, but we went into the game with the guys we had, and we knew we were going to have to fight with that depth, and I thought we did great. I thought the young guys stepped in when they had to. Being JB and Wyatt, they haven't had a ton of snaps in their career, but when they had to come in, they were vital, giving us blows and stepping up when they had to. And I thought Spivak and I fought hard. I thought we were physical in there, and it was more snaps than we probably both taken in our careers. I think we were ready for it.
Eli Carp.
This one's for Patty. Obviously, this week, a bit of a different challenge going against a more mobile and dynamic offense in Nebraska. They use two quarterbacks at Ohio State. Martinez is mobile on his own, but they also bring in McCaffrey. how does that affect the game plan? And, what are the challenges to stopping, a more unpredictable dynamic attack like that?
Yeah, it's going to be a challenge, most definitely. And they've got two great quarterbacks, McCaffrey and Martinez, who's been there for a couple years now, and they're both tremendous athletes and passers. So it's going to be difficult for us to come up with a game plan to stop both of those two and to really limit them and the tempo too. They're going to come out in tempo and we got to prepare for that too. So that adds another wrinkle to it as well.
Eli, do you have a follow-up?
Yeah. And how does going against, your offense in practice with their tempo affect, how you prepare for this tempo? Does that help?
Yeah, our scout team is doing a tremendous job of getting the tempo really fast. They're out there. We've got the scout cards on the big screen, so they're able to look up there rather than having to huddle up and look at the scout card. So they're able to go lightning fast and really push the tempo. So that helps a lot.
Dave Emmett.
Hey, Patty, you guys have 7 takeaways in 2 games. I know it's something you always emphasize, but how do you account for all of the turnovers by your opponents here in these first 2 games?
It's just one of those things. Last year we didn't come out with the ball as much as we wanted to, and in my opinion, it was just kind of an anomaly of a year. And now this year, spending a lot of time in the off season and the practices in spring ball that we had, really harping on it, and now the practices in fall camp and during the week, just really getting that ingrained in our minds and really making it muscle memory and second nature. We're starting to see the pieces kind of come together, and there's no really explanation to it other than the fact that we're really thinking about it every play. We're of course we want to tackle the ball carrier, but we're thinking ball every play. So it's no surprise that they're coming out and we're doing a tremendous job too. Our back 7, our safeties are doing an incredible job of breaking up passes and making interceptions and taking the ball away.
Thank you.
Eric.
Yeah, just kind of similar to what Dave asked, question for both of you guys. Momentum and turnovers were kind of the 2 things that Fitz constantly talked about that you guys just couldn't really get going last year. And Patty, you kind of mentioned the physical stuff in practice, but can you also speak to just the mental approach? You said you're thinking about it a lot, but were there any things in particular you guys focused on in terms of the mental aspect to really make sure you guys succeed in those aspects this year?
I think there's a learning curve to it. It's one thing to really start and begin making it muscle memory and second nature, harping on the takeaways. It's one thing to be in the beginning stage, and then when you move forward and progress, you kind of get out of this learning stage, and now it's repetition so many times that that's all you're thinking about. As well as the fundamentals of everything, our technique and the defense that we're installing. But you got to get past this learning curve first, and that's when it's just kind of like you're just going, and it just flows just so smoothly, and it just kind of all comes together, So it takes some time, and I think that we're really starting to come together with that.
Ella.
Hi, this one's for Jake. Jake, you mentioned playing with Joe Spivak on the line, and just from every social media frenzy he generates when he does something cool, he seems like a real character. What can you say about playing with Joe and knowing him as on a person?
Yeah, Joe's one of my best friends on the team. I mean, he brings insane energy every day. No matter what, you can count on him to bring the juice. And I think that creates a great chemistry when we're out there together. He's a good communicator. He's vocal. And he's a lot of fun to be with. So I know I can trust him to do the right thing and also bring the juice if I had a bad play or something. He's there to pick me right back up.
Noah Kaufman.
For both of you guys, you faced 2 teams nearly going who passed more than they ran. Iowa a lot more, Maryland more out of necessity than anything. Nebraska, even though they were down for most of that game against Ohio State, running the ball a lot, ran the ball with their quarterbacks around 20 times. What different challenges does that bring? And people have been sort of less willing to run on you guys, seemingly because you've been able to stop the run. is it different against a team that has the quarterback run so heavily involved, like Nebraska, not just scrambles but designed QB runs?
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, I think it opens up more avenues and more different play calling. It just kind of expands the offensive play calling and playbook when you include the quarterback in any sort of scramble or any quarterback run, design quarterback run. So, it's going to be a challenge going into this week, especially because they've got Seven McCaffrey and Martinez back there. So it definitely adds another challenge and another wrinkle to the offense. So that's one thing.
Yeah, and I can add on to that. I mean, they're going to test us a little bit differently than Iowa did with testing our technique and our eyes inside as well. Just some of their blocking schemes they have out to the design quarterback, and just some of the reading of the tackles inside and some of the blocks we're going to get. They're really going to test our technique and try and use that against us. We're going to have to be disciplined inside, so we know that.
Eli?
Yeah, just circling back to Ella's question earlier, this one's for Jake. What's it like to see Joe go in on offense, towards the goal line and play fullback and pave the way for, rushing touchdowns?
Yeah, I told him he was unaware of the stat, the fullback assist. So I had to inform him that there's a stat out there doing his job. The thing is, we got to keep him, maybe get him a better fitting helmet. Maybe when he's out there laying those blocks on people, it seems like he might be cutting his nose up a little bit, which is, I mean, it looks pretty sweet, but that might be hard as the season progresses if that thing keeps splitting open. But yeah, a lot of good fullback assists out there. So I mean, and he just brings the juice as soon as he comes back after that. That gets him going before we go back out on defense as well.
Drew Shot.
Hey, this question is for both of you. So Coach Fitz and numerous other players have spoken up about the next man up mentality on defense this season. What's it been like to kind of see that come to fruition in the secondary and both on the defensive line, as those are kind of the two units that have kind of seen some shifting in terms of injuries and opt-outs throughout in the preseason and during the season?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's good to see. We don't want to see guys coming in and not knowing what to do as far as knowing what to expect and the playbook and what we're installing. It's good to see guys come in and really care and really step up and want to play and want to make plays and want to do well for the greater good of the team. And so we've been really holding each other accountable, especially on the defensive side and across all three levels, DBs, LBs, and D-line. We've just been really holding each other accountable because we don't know, especially during these times, you could miss 3 weeks, 2-3 weeks with a positive test. I mean, and injuries as well, so you just never know. So it's just one of those times where we're really holding each other accountable.
Yeah, we knew we were going to need everybody this year. So I think it was just even more than ever, making sure we're getting with the young guys. I know last week especially, we knew we were going to be lighter in the D tackle depth, so just getting together with the guys and making sure everyone knew what they needed to do and felt confident in that they were going to be able to complete their responsibilities. So I think more than ever, just knowing that we're going to need everybody and it could happen at any point that someone's going to have to step up and make a play.
Peter Warren.
As for both of you guys or either of you guys, Jake just talked about Joe really bringing the juice a lot. Who are in the first 2 games so far the leaders in the juice category?
Our non-travel guys and the guys that we kind of bring on with the travel party that may not have a role on the field with special teams or in the 2 deep. Those guys have been really bringing the juice. Ray Nard, I think of one, and Spivak, of course, and there's a number of guys. It's a group of guys that just kind of sell out for the 60 minutes of ball that we're playing, and they're kind of being real selfless. They're rooting us on and just making it fun for us out there.
Noah.
For Patty, you guys have seen Adrian Martinez now. The whole linebacking core has seen him now 2 years in a row. Now, 3rd year coming in playing against him. I know it's a little bit different with Luke McCaffrey thrown into the mix, but do you guys feel like you've got a feel for his play style and the way that they're trying to use him, or are they changing that up enough to where it's something you got to learn like kind of anew this week in practice?
Yeah, they're definitely throwing in some new things with him, some new runs and things like that. You know, we've definitely seen a lot of what he can do, especially in the open field. He's a tremendous ball player. You know, he can make tackles, miss tackles, and make people miss. And he's extremely good throwing the ball, and extremely good on his feet. You know, so we've seen a lot, and I know that we're going to see more. You know, just watching tape from last week versus Ohio State. 2 weeks ago, excuse me. He looks really good, you know. So I know they're throwing in more wrinkles, and there's going to be more stuff that we got to adjust to and things like that. But playing tremendous ball.
Anything else for Patty or Jake? Thanks, guys. You guys can hang out. We'll have the offensive guys up next. Now, represent the offense, Ramad Jacko Bowman. If you have any questions, please message Athletic Communications in the chat. No Kaufman.
Rod, it seems, I talked to Kurt Anderson last week, and he talked about how the run scheme has changed this year with the way you guys are doing things in that regard with Coach Mike Bajakian. How much have your responsibilities changed as a wide receiver blocking on the outside in the run game this year?
Yeah, so as a receiver, it's always been an emphasis, even prior to Coach Jake, to be on the outside and be dominant on the outside. There's steps that we can take to get better, especially after this week. But it's just base rules, feet apart, strike, and it's important in this offense to say the least. But being able to block on the outside opens things up in the pass game as well.
Go ahead, Noah.
You got a couple big balls on third down. Only your second game playing with Peyton. How do you feel that connection developing as you guys get more game time together and as you hook up on these big third down plays?
Yeah, the connection is great. I've felt that since the first day. I met him even before we started throwing. Started working out together. But it's really good to get those completions obviously in the game. But it's not surprising. It's what we do during the week. It's what we did all summer. So it's normal. One more, always one more.
Noah, do you have another one?
Sure, why not? you guys, you run the ball 60 times and throw the ball 18 times. I know it wasn't exactly like that in terms of play calling because Peyton's obviously scrambling on a lot of those. But, as a receiver, how much, you're blocking on the outside all the time in these runs because you're in the game for a lot of these plays. Is it ever like, oh man, we're running it again? Or are you excited to go out there and go, try to knock your cornerback back off the line?
Always excited, whether it's a run play, whether it's a pass play, it's a play to win and do my job and hopefully spring, in this case, spring the run, get an explosive play, explosive run, whatever that may be. But it's always exciting because even if it's not a pass play, like I said before, it's opening up opportunity for, oh, maybe I'll check this release, maybe I'll check out if I can be a little more physical here. So it's always an opportunity.
Ella?
I guess kind of away from football question, but from the perspective of a student athlete inside the athletic department, what kind of initiatives have they been doing to encourage people to vote before the election tomorrow? And what do you think have been have they been successful and stuff?
Yeah, so there's been a lot of initiatives. One that sticks out the most is we had a program, couple opportunities, but for NU Vote program, also initiative, working hand in hand with the athletic department. Literally, we got on Zoom as student athletes and they walked us through, especially for a lot of us that are out of state, which is most of us, walked us through registering to vote here, providing us the opportunity to be able to vote in Evanston or the local county. So that was big for me. I know I'll be going to vote tomorrow locally, but there's also been just other initiatives and other opportunities that, for example, actually learning what's on the ballot, who's on the ballot. I'm not just voting for president. So learning more about the voting process and how important it is has been great.
Ben Chasen.
So you guys are facing a Nebraska team that is going to be missing two key defensive backs in the first half. My first question is, as wide receivers, do you guys look at that and have your mouth watering over that in terms of just having two guys out for the first half? And also, how do you guys adjust midway through a game to having a completely different set of guys who might be more regular in the playing rotation added in?
Yeah, so as wide receivers, our mouths water over any DBs we face. It's an opportunity on Saturday to go ball and show everybody what we're about. Whoever's in is in, and we study film the same way. Whether it's a starter, whether it's the two deep, whether it's somebody that's never played, we're watching film on him to get keys, tells, so that we can be dominant. And then adjusting is the same thing. If we know somebody else is coming in, also just a little more film study, a little more prep. That's all it is. But we do what we do.
Eric?
Ramad, 2 games into the season now. What's the number one thing you want to see improve in terms of the passing game moving forward?
When our numbers call, we make the plays. When our numbers call, we make the plays. Coach Jake is going to get us there, and Peyton, as you all have seen, and it's not just Peyton, it's our whole line and RBs and protection, making it happen for us. So when our numbers call, we're there. And also, everybody's been kind of alluding to, talking about in the run game, making sure we're handling our job on the perimeter, because it all goes back to being able to open up the pass game.
Noah?
Through a couple games here and through the summer working out, not necessarily asking for specifics, but have you seen your route tree change at all, in terms of what you're being asked to do and specifically in which situations? Has it been developed a little bit more this season?
Yeah, we got options. We got field to work. We got space to work. And, big thing is just being able to be the receiver you are in this offense and just really use your skill set. Coach Jake is great at getting players and places to be successful. It's not just a system. It's also coaching the players in the system.
All right. Thanks, Ramad.
Appreciate y'all.